Have you ever wondered about the trials and tribulations that have shaped Scotland's history? Picture a land of rugged mountains and misty lochs, a land where the echoes of ancient battles and the cries of fallen heroes still linger in the air. This is Scotland, and its history is as turbulent as the North Sea that laps its shores. In the late 13th century, Scotland was a cauldron of conflict, a battleground of clashing swords and clashing wills. This was the era of the Wars of Scottish Independence, a time when the indomitable spirit of Scotland was put to the ultimate test. At the heart of this struggle was a man of legend, a beacon of hope amidst the carnage, William Wallace. A man of humble beginnings, Wallace emerged as a leader, a hero, a symbol of the indomitable Scottish spirit. His fierce resistance against the English forces earned him respect and admiration, but also the ire of the English crown. But every has its tragic turn. Wallace was eventually captured, subjected to a mock trial for treason, and met a brutal end at the hands of his English captors. Yet his spirit remained unbroken, his legacy undiminished. The trials for Scotland did not end there. Following the devastating Battle of Culloden in the mid-18th century, the English government took ruthless steps to suppress Scottish clans. This led to the Highland Clearances, a dark chapter in Scottish history, marked by forced evictions and the systematic eradication of clan culture. These early struggles form the bedrock of Scotland's identity, a testament to its resilience and its unwavering spirit. They remind us that freedom often comes at a high price, and that sacrifice is the cornerstone of a nation's legacy. A nation's history often written in the blood of its heroes, and for Scotland, William Wallace was one such hero. What ignites the fire of intrigue, more than a tale of power, betrayal and execution? This is the story of Mary, Queen of Scots, a woman whose life was as tumultuous as the era she lived in. Born into a royal bloodline, Mary ascended to the Scottish throne as an infant. Yet her reign was anything but child's play. Caught in the turbulent tides of power, she navigated a world of political intrigue, religious strife, and unending conflict. Before her reign, Mary was sent to France at the tender age of 5 to be groomed for her future role. There, she was betrothed to the French Dauphin, and for a brief moment in time, she was Queen Consort of France, Scotland's staunch ally. However, fate had different plans. The untimely death of her husband forced her to return to Scotland, a land on the brink of religious revolution. As a Catholic queen in a Protestant-dominated nation, Mary's reign was fraught with challenges from the get-go. Yet she held her ground, ruling with a determination that belied her tender years. But her reign was not without controversy. Accusations of adultery, involvement in her husband's murder, and an ill-advised marriage led to her downfall. Forced to abdicate in favour of her 1-year-old son, Mary sought refuge in England, hoping for the support of her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I. Instead, she found herself under house arrest, where she would remain for 19 long years. Amidst the solitude, plots against Queen Elizabeth swirled around Mary. Whether she was a willing participant or a pawn in the games of power, we may never truly know. In the end, these plots sealed her fate. Accused of conspiring against the English Queen, Mary was executed, a final tragic act, in a life marked by upheaval and conflict. The life and death of Mary, Queen of Scots, is a testament to the tumultuous times that Scotland endured. Her story is a poignant reminder of the relentless forces of power, religion and betrayal that shaped the course of Scottish history. How does a nation lose its autonomy? A question that can be answered by looking at Scotland's history, specifically the pivotal year of 1707. This was the year that saw the merging of Scotland with England, an event that would forever change the political and cultural landscape of these two nations. In early 18th century, the Act of Union was passed, effectively dissolving the Scottish Parliament and incorporating Scotland into the Kingdom of Great Britain. This merger was driven by the threat of invasion from England's much larger army and the threat to Scotland's economic prospects, and promises of benefits to the current landowners, particularly the promise of shared trade and navigation rights. However, The loss of Scotland's governmental autonomy was a bitter pill to swallow for many Scots. The merger had profound implications for Scotland's political landscape. No longer did Scotland have its own parliament, its own laws, its own governance. Instead was part of a larger entity governed by a parliament in London, where Scottish representation was limited. This shift power dynamics fueled resentment and a sense of loss among the Scottish people, who felt their voice and sovereignty were being suppressed. The cultural impact of the merger was just as significant. For centuries, Scotland had its own unique traditions, language, and way of life. But now, these distinct cultural elements were at risk of being diluted or even erased. The English language began to dominate, and many aspects of Scottish culture started to fade into the background. Yet, amidst this cultural assimilation, the spirit of Scotland remained unbroken. The Scots clung fiercely to their identity, preserving their traditions, their Gaelic language, and their unique way of life. Despite the political changes, they remained proudly Scottish, a testament to their resilience and determination. The merging of Scotland with England was a significant turning point in Scotland's history, marking the beginning of a new era. But while it brought change and challenges, it also ignited a spirit of resilience and determination that continues to define Scotland to this day. How does a tax spark a riot and a submarine collision become a nuclear secret? Let's journey back to 1989, an era that saw the introduction of the community charge in Scotland, a flat tax that was far from flat in its impact. It was a levy that didn't discriminate between rich or poor, demanding the same amount from everyone, regardless of their financial standing. This ignited a spark of discontent that rapidly grew into a flame of protest. The streets of Scotland were filled with the voices of dissent, the air charged with the palpable tension of an imminent storm. The people of Scotland, united in their outrage, made their voices heard in a symphony of protest. The government was left with no choice but to suspend the tax, leading to its eventual repeal. However, the community charge was not the only controversy that Scotland had to contend with during this period. In 1974, off the coast of Scotland, a US submarine collided with a Soviet vessel. This incident, seemingly a simple maritime accident, held a much darker secret. It was not just a collision of two behemoth vessels, but a collision of two superpowers, and it wasn't until 2017, more than 4 decades later, that the truth came to light. This was not a simple accident. It was a nuclear secret, tucked away in the depths of the cold Scottish waters. The revelation of this incident raised concerns about the presence of nuclear weapons in the area, casting a shadow of uncertainty over the Scottish coast. So how attacks spark a riot and a submarine collision become a nuclear secret? The answer lies in the resilience and spirit of the Scottish people. Despite the injustices, the controversies and the secrets, they have always found a way to overcome adversity. They have always found a way to fight for their rights, their safety and their sovereignty. In the face of adversity, the spirit of the Scottish people has always shone through. What does it take for a nation to reclaim its autonomy? This question brings us to the culmination of our journey through Scotland's tumultuous history, the re-establishment of the Scottish Parliament in 1999. After centuries of subjugation, Scotland began to echo with the calls for devolution, a demand for the decentralisation of power from the United Kingdom Parliament to a Scottish Parliament. The clamour grew louder in the late 20th century, fuelled by a desire to regain control over domestic affairs. In 1997, a referendum was held, asking the Scottish people if they desired a parliament with tax-varying powers. The response was a resounding yes, with nearly 3/4 of the electorate voting in favour. 2 years later, the Scottish Parliament was re-established, marking the first time in almost 300 years that Scotland had its own legislature. This was a significant moment, not just politically, but culturally and socially too. It meant that Scotland could once again make decisions about its laws, its education, its health service and more. But what did this mean for Scotland's identity? It meant a rekindling of the Scottish spirit, a renewed sense of self-determination. It meant an opportunity for Scotland to assert its distinctiveness, to champion its interests and to shape its future. It was a moment of empowerment and a step towards reclaiming its autonomy. The re-establishment of the Scottish Parliament was more than just a political event. It was a symbol of Scotland's resilience, a testament to the enduring spirit of a nation that, despite centuries of adversity, refused to be silenced. However, it's important to note that devolution is not independence. Scotland remains part of the United Kingdom, but with a stronger voice and greater control over its affairs. This, however, even now is being continually chipped away, and the Westminster government is trying to reduce the powers and autonomy of the Scottish government. The journey towards autonomy is not yet complete, and the future holds new challenges and opportunities. The re-establishment of the Scottish Parliament marked another turning point for Scotland, a testament to burning desire for freedom we all have.